flow takes place when all of our attention is focused in the current moment, right? So all these so-called triggers are simply ways of focusing attention in the now. If you want to put this in a bigger scientific concept, these are the 18 things that evolution shaped your brain to pay the most attention to. So essentially, when you're hacking flow, you're making evolutionary biology work for you. That's all you're doing. Now, that said, before we get in, this is not like self-help. Self-help makes you 5% better, 10% better if you're lucky, and nothing bad's going to happen if you screw up.
Right.
With flow, you're playing with fundamental evolutionary biology. From a biological standpoint, very addictive neurochemistry. You have to be careful. You have to know what you're doing, right? We always tell people if they would come to us with serious emotional problems, solve those first, then do this stuff. We'll just screw you up, right? So that's the caveat coming in. That said, the first trigger is the most obvious. And I want to mention it because it's a business show. People have been talking about passion endlessly for the past 10, 15 years. Passion is one of these crazy words that everybody mystifies. It means all kinds of things to all. Passion is a flow trigger simply for one reason. We pay more attention to the stuff we believe in. Right. Passion is important for performance because it focuses attention. So across the boards, being passionate about what it is that you're doing is important. Right. But what I want to talk about is what's called the golden rule of flow. And this was not our discovery. This is Csikszentmihalyi. It was a flow trigger he discovered back in the 60s and 70s. But it is still kind of the most fundamental, basic, and almost everything comes from this. So the idea is that flow exists sort of between the midpoint between anxiety, hey, there's not enough stimulation here, I don't care, and boredom. Whoa, or boredom, hey, there's not enough stimulation. Anxiety, way too much stimulation, I care too much, right? So in between, there's a sweet spot. It's called the flow channel. What it means is that the challenge of the task at hand slightly, and slightly is the key word here, exceeds your skill set. So you want to stretch, but not snap. Now, this is tricky for two groups of people. If you are not a type A personality, not a hard-charging, super high performer, right? This sweet spot is the point at which you get uncomfortable, right? So if you're going to hack flow, produce more flow in your life, you're going to have to take risks. You're going to have to push yourself outside your comfort zone, right? Now, the flip side, which is a much bigger problem we find for kind of type A's, top executives, that sort of stuff, is it's actually, you want to stretch but not snap. It's a small amount of pushing. And type A types, myself included, I will bypass this sweet spot without even noticing. I will take on challenges that are 20% greater, 50% greater, 70% greater than where I should be. And I'll deny myself the massive uptick in performance that I would need to accomplish those things, right, along the way. So I'm not saying don't set giant, big goals, but chunk them down into such a way that the goal is every day you want to wake up and you want to push hard, but not too hard, right? Yeah. So what's tricky about it is it requires endless amounts of grit over and over and over again. You have to be gritty every day. You have to be willing to step up to the challenge every day. And as you know, you do that for 5 years, it's exhausting. It's hard, right? You need flow, by the way, as the reprieve. If you weren't getting the flow, as a payoff, I don't think anybody would keep going on this path. It would be miserable, right? And this brings me to an important point. Flow, one of the things we know about flow, and this Csikszentmihalyi figured this out, and this has been extremely well validated, is that the people who score, it's often said that the people who have the most flow in their lives are the happiest people on earth. It's actually not entirely true. The people who have the most flow in their lives score off the charts on overall well-being and life satisfaction, and it's different, right? Happiness is a thin slice measure of how do you feel right now. Overall well-being, life satisfaction, that's a thicker meaning and purpose. And the reason it matters is if you're constantly challenging yourself all the time, right? Yeah. You're not always happy.
If what you've heard on Flow Research Collective Radio has been helpful, please consider doing us a solid and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Reviews help us connect to a wider audience so we can get these peak performance principles out to more people.